Welcome back to another episode of the Wealth Clock podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Weinstock. Today we have Aleksey Chernobelskiy. I think I said that correctly. CEO and co-founder of GP LP Match. GP for general partner, LP for limited partner, Match. GP LP Match. Before launching GP LP Match, Aleksey managed Store Capital's $10 billion commercial real estate portfolio while leading its underwriting team. He also earned a quadruple major from the University of Arizona in finance, mathematics, economics, and accounting. Sounds exciting. Okay. Today, GP-LP Match has become one of the fastest growing platforms connecting real estate GPs, general partners, and limited partners through qualified relationships instead of cold outreach. Welcome to the Wealth Clock podcast. Aleksey, hey.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Let's just do a little background. Most people know you. I've seen you on LinkedIn. I met you in person by a real estate event recently here in New York, New Jersey area. Most people know you as the GPLP Match guy. You write great content on LinkedIn. But if we went back 10 or 15 years, what were you doing?
Well, I guess 10 years ago, I was at store, give or take. Yeah, 10 years ago. I left about 4 years ago and, just, I guess, went off on my own entrepreneurial journey. I think, as you mentioned, at store, like very institutional type seat. It was a REIT. We bought a ton of stuff, but all that stuff was really focused in like single tenant buildings with non-credit leases through sale leasebacks for the folks who know what that is. And yeah, had a good time. Perhaps believed in myself a little too much in terms of going out on my own, set off on my own. And, so far, so good 4 years later.
Okay, well, let's back up a second. What was the first job you had out of
Out of
college?
college?
Was it in real estate? Was it with Store Capital?
No, actually not. No, like I basically did not touch real estate much until store. First job out of college was actually in Israel. I worked for a quantitative trading firm. So like algorithmic trading, we built an algorithm that sat on top of like a bunch of algorithmic trading strategies and allocated to them. So it was like a fund of funds, if you will, in that we collected capital and allocated to a bunch of algorithmic trading strategies that traded New York Stock Exchange. That job was in Israel, which ultimately led me to spending 2 more years in Israel. After that, I did some distressed debt, trade claims specifically. I did some strategy consulting, did some turnaround work. And then really it wasn't until I came to Arizona that I like touched real estate at a like a serious level, which was 2017, I guess, roundabout.
When did you start GP LP Match?
I did quite a bit before starting it. So I started GPLP Match specifically as a platform 18 months ago. Well, like the first deal we sent was January of 2025. It took me about a month or two to code it, or at least the first Band-Aid version of it. And yeah, I guess here we are 18 months later, still building.
Okay, this might have to get cut out. You hear me okay or no?
I can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, we'll cut that out.
Okay.
Tell me exactly what GP LP Match is and how you got the idea.
Yeah, sure. So I advised a lot of LPs first when I left store. A very common request from an LP is, do you have opportunities that you can send my way? How do I learn to be a better LP? Then naturally, I started speaking to GPs as well. GPs always want to meet LPs. And I just said, gosh, like, wouldn't it be cool if I could do this at scale? And so that gave birth to GP-LP Match, which put very simply it's a marketplace of opportunities. LPs will set certain filters such as property type, market, all the way down to maybe like a co-invest preference that you have or whatever, or waterfall. And you get notified anytime we get a deal that matches what you like. Otherwise, we don't email you. And then from the GP side, you can submit your deals and get matched to LPs for free.
What is there a fee for an LP to browse listings and to make contact with the general partners of a specific deal that may have piqued their interest?
No. There's actually no fees on either side. Like GPs don't need to pay us to submit a deal. GPs don't need to pay us to get wires. We're not broker dealers, so we can't charge on that. Even if we wanted to. On the LP side, to your point, there's also no fees. They can sign up within 30 seconds. It's a little bit of a process for us to approve LPs at this point, but pretty seamless to sign up. And as soon as you're approved, it's a very seamless experience.
So I just want to break it down for the audience. There are two aspects of the website. There's the GPs. They have a real estate opportunity that they're purchasing. Typically, it's going to be multifamily, but I'm sure there's other asset classes within the real estate. On the GP side, they will submit their deal. They will give as many details as possible, expected rate of return, time frame, type of property, units. And then on the other side, you have people who are interested in investing in real estate. They will sign up on the LP side, I imagine, and they can set up search filters and sort it the way they want to view it. Maybe they're only interested in Florida, or they're only interested in deals that are 150 units plus. And I'm sure there's, more search and sort filters than what I'm mentioning. What happens when LP sees a deal they like? They want to ask more information. What is the communication process? Does Aleksey have to get involved in the middle? Is he getting individual emails and then forwarding each one to the individual GP? Is it set up where the LP's email address or phone number is being given to the potential GP? How does that process work?
Yeah, so in the earlier days, it was more manual. Like we would basically give the email address of the GP, and the LP would need to, copy that email address, send an email, create a subject line, say, hey, like I found this on GP LP Match, I'd be interested in speaking. For about 6 months now, we actually implemented a simple button. So like you're perusing a deck, you click a button, and that button hits our API to create an email thread between the GP and the LP with us not involved. Like it literally just sends out an email introducing the two parties, and then the two parties are off to the races at that point.
Does it mask the email? Meaning I'm John Smith at thewealthclock.com. Let's say I hit the button and it goes to, I don't know, Jared Kushner as the GP. Does he see me, John Smith, or is it masked through
They
your
see
own,
everything. I mean, they see
privacy software?
No, it's like as raw as it gets. They see each other's email, they see each
Got it.
other's
No,
names,
I
LinkedIn's, and everything like that.
got it. Yeah, I think that's appreciative on both sides. So that's there's no gatekeeper. I saw on your
Exactly.
website
Yeah.
something along the lines of no gatekeeper. So I like
Yep.
that.
And
How do you
that's
make
Stephen,
money
but that's
on the
by
website?
design. Yeah, I'll answer that in a sec. That's by design, just because like if we're involved, such a thing can't scale, right? I can't make those introductions at scale. I can't be involved on those calls. It's not a scalable solution, right? So that's why we implemented that button to make it easier for our users, but also to make it scalable. To answer the revenue question, really two places, or I guess three now. First one is, and that's really how we scaled, is ads. So there's a ton of sponsorship opportunities available for service providers that pitch GPs in different parts of the flow, starting from investor relations portals, property managers, and all types of like AI solutions nowadays. Those are famous, and the list goes on and on. So that side helped me scale and hire a team. And then we also, as we got like two software engineers on board, we also created like a really solid data solution where we take all the data from the deals that we have, anonymize it, and then help GPs understand how they compare to market. So for example, if a GP wanted to understand, how do I compare to other GPs that you've sent deals on over the past 6 months, right? So that's a off-the-shelf software hit. Like you upload your deck, within 10 minutes you'll get a response with like 5 different tabs and a bunch of information. That is available to GPs for purchase under like the premium subscription. Notice, however, that is for folks who want feedback, folks that want like, sort of like extended stay, if you will, extended optimization or whatnot. If you just wanted to get on the platform, and we've had many people like this, like they get on, they submit a deal within a minute or two, they match with an LP, and LP wires as much as 5 million we've had, and we don't get anything. Like we didn't get anything for submission, we didn't get anything for the wire. And sometimes, to be candid, we don't even hear about the wire, right? Because we don't have payment rails on our platform yet. So like all the payments do not come through us. And so we sort of have to, we hope that one of the sides will tell us at some point if something happened.
What would be a reason where somebody applies to be an LP and for whatever reason they're not accepted? What would be one of the reasons? Assuming, they're not writing, Mickey Mouse in the name field, and it's not spam. What would be one of the reasons that somebody is not accepted?
I mean, I try to be generous, but also like I have to balance two things. I have to be generous in terms of people who want to learn how to be LPs. And at the same time, I have to be pretty careful, right? Because we're sending somewhat confidential information across every day. Like we send 4 to 5 deals a day. The way that I typically balance it is so like, first of all, if you're not accredited, I can't really help until you're accredited, more or less, in terms of like sending you deals. And that's just that's just an SEC thing. If you're accredited, but like I have a hunch that you're not a true LP, or at least not a pure LP. In other words, you also do something else, such as brokerage or such as maybe doing your own deals, which is often the case. I'll typically look at those cases case by case. And then the other complicated one is like international folks, which I'll also speak with. I mean, we have some very large like sovereigns on, for example. But those are relationships that I had to kind of vet. Some of them are Googleable, some of them are a lot less. And so you have to just make sure that it's like a real person with real money and not just, trying to mine data or whatever.
I got it. What about on the GP side? What would be, I imagine this is more complicated. On the GP side, how do you vet? I understand you're not making money on these. You're
Yeah.
really just a marketplace. You're not necessarily giving some GP 5 stars. How do you, make sure that GP is solid?
I would say two things. So the simple test, there's a simple test and a more complicated test. The simple test is anytime I notice anything even remotely close to like misrepresentation, I immediately don't send it, which happens a lot more often than you would think. Just like people misrepresenting their background, what they own, like for example, people saying they own a bunch of stuff. I look on CoStar and it turns out to be a totally different firm, and it turns out that they were LPs in this deal. So it's like the same thing as saying I own Tesla when you're like you have one stock, or whatever. And it's just like it's a brand thing for me, right? Because if I have, everyone from a high net worth investor all the way to some of the largest LPs in the world on, and then they get a notification that is embarrassing, so to speak, to send, or potentially like borderline fraudulent type things, then it reflects pretty poorly on our platform. So that's like the simple test, which I guess is not so simple even. The more complicated test is like, how do I think this will do? Which is a lot more. I mean, some of it is database. Some of it is like I have pretty good gut feel for these things by now. We've sent like 650 deals across, rough give or take. And that's just a function of like, for example, I know we don't have a tremendous amount of LPs that are interested in land development, for example, like very complicated land deals. And so if I get like 5 land deals in a week, my immediate reaction is like, okay, obviously I want to make sure they're legit, but I need to like space these out, because if I send them out, it's just a frustrating experience for LPs. Part of that is solved through filters, right? Because people will filter out land if they're not interested. But I don't know, people are pretty lazy users sometimes and they don't set filters, and ultimately you want to see stuff that's like relevant. And so that's a little bit more of subjective thing, I guess.
I noticed that your company is hosting a conference. Did I see that correctly? Here I'm in New York. You're in Arizona.
Yeah.
But I believe in September, you guys are partnering with IMN. IMN is a big real estate networking conference conglomerate. They have different niche or niche events throughout the country and different aspects of the real estate sector, single family, multifamily, debt financing, AI, et cetera, et cetera. But I saw now that you're hosting a conference specifically for the GPLP match type of audience. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just reminded me that was a third revenue source, meaning I told you two. One was like third party providers pitching GPs, right? The second one was GP Premium, which is like the data product that I mentioned, and the third one is somewhat recent, events. In terms of the conference, yeah, September 23rd, New York City. I'm trying to do things very different, and we'll see how it works. I mean, at a high level, we're going to have 100 LPs in a room, 100 GPs in a room, trying to do two things different. One is that 1-to-1 ratio, which I haven't really seen before. And the second thing is the LP audience will be split evenly into high net worth people, family offices, and allocators in the same room. So I think the hope is that, first of all, there's like some cross-pollination and learning opportunities for the LPs, but then for the GPs that are in the room, you can turn to your right and speak to Nuveen, Davidson, Kempner, Goldman's internal, allocator team. You can turn to your left and speak to a business owner that just sold his company and they're allocating $250,000 checks. Right. So I think that I hope, it's still very much in the works, but we've had tremendous success so far and I'm excited for it.
Wow, that's quite a conference to attend. And I know it's going to be excuse me, it's going to be very hard to get the right LPs and the right GPs in the room. But if you can get quality people, companies on both sides, that should really be a big home run. And having the conference here in New York definitely lends itself to a good audience. So I wish you a lot of hatzlacha, which means good luck on the conference. And you definitely partnered with a real top-notch operator to run the event. So that should work out real well. What else are you working on besides GPLP match? Is this your full focus? Do you have any other companies? I know you're an entrepreneur by heart. You
Yeah.
have a nice background in real estate. What else are you doing?
Take kids to camp, put them to bed, learn Torah. I don't really, I mean, jokes aside, I don't really have time for anything else. Like the GPLP match overall, I mean, we have a lot of things that we're working on and it's still a lean team, but it's still a team of 5. Like that takes, I mean, I'm usually doing 70-ish hour weeks and can barely keep up.
Wow. Okay. I know you told me earlier that we had to cut this short. Plus, we had some recording issues. Hopefully, the recording over here works out okay. If not, we'll have to reschedule and redo this again. And nobody wants to do that. Tell our audience how they can reach out to you. I'll put it in the show notes. But what is it? LinkedIn, Instagram,
Yeah, yeah.
TikTok,
I
email,
mean, my
whatever you
my
want.
last name is my last name is pretty unique. You can find me on Twitter, pretty active there, pretty active on LinkedIn. Email is my first name at gplpmatch.com.
Got it. Okay. Aleksey, thank you very much. When you're in town, maybe we should have another dinner together. Yes, we had dinner together back in New Jersey by this other
Yeah,
event. It
yeah, it was
wasn't
awesome.
scheduled, but you asked me if
Yeah, you
if the
guys.
seat next to me was available. It was, and we had a great
It was
time
fun. Yeah.
talking, and I really appreciate it. Okay, for everybody else, thank you
Okay.
for tuning in to another episode. If you like us, hit like, hit share, and subscribe. Aleksey, thank you very much.
Very good. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.